Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I went to Mardi Gras 2020, and I was there to witness some of the dramas. I'll just talk about the main one. Um, the overselling of the main party. It was a fucking disaster. Now, I didn't realize how bad it was while I was in there when I attended. I read the articles afterwards and realized what happened. Now, in the past, I've been stuck in a line in the past where basically because the event at the Horden Pavilion, there's three stages basically. There's the main stage, which has all the acts. There's another large stage, which is more just techno music, and there's a smaller stage, which is more like a theatre, and I don't know, they just have different music. They have different music in each ones, and then one has the main acts. Um, Now, the Royal Industrial Hall is what used to be the main stage where they'd have the acts. Now, that one was closed. This year, all they had was the Horden, which used to be the one that was just the techno one, which is about the same size, um, which holds about 5,500 people, and the Max Watts, which was the tiny theatre stage, which only has the capacity for 1,500. So that's 7,000 people. Now they sold, I've heard estimates between 10 and 12,000 tickets. Now the old capacity used that I'm not sure. I'm guessing the other stage had to hold, I guess, 5,000. It had to be about the same size. Maybe it's a little smaller. I don't know, but I guess in the past they could sell that many. It was fine. I don't know how many they sold in the past. I should have researched that. Oops. But basically, this year they sold 10 to 12,000, and they only had capacity for 7,000, which meant 3 to 5,000 people were stuck outside and stuck in line and couldn't get in. Now, my experience was I had decided early on that I was going to have to leave the parade early before it finished and not watch the whole parade in order to get to the party in time to get in because Dale Lipper and Sam Smith and Kasha were all going to be there. And I thought because they're very popular and presumably the crowd is younger, a lot of people are going to go and it's going to be hard to get in to the main stage. So I thought, I don't want to be stuck outside. I'm there by myself this year. I wasn't going with friends this year. So I really wanted to get in early and see the acts. In the past, I've gone to people and I pretty much missed the acts because we were all over the place and I couldn't corral them because trying to get gays to go anywhere is like trying to herd cats. It's just impossible, especially when they're high and drunk. I don't take drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do anything. So I'm always sober, but I can never get the others to do what I want and go where I need. So in the past, I missed George Michael because I couldn't get them there in time, and then it was shut off while he performed. Cher, I only just managed to get in, and that was only because people at the end. Actually, I'll tell the Cher story. Basically, I got there, I was in a line, and they were going one in, one out, and they stopped it, which they weren't supposed to do. It was supposed to be one in, one out. They sold the tickets on that basis. They wouldn't let anyone in. A lot of people gave up and left. A few people were left, and when Cher started, they literally pushed these big giant metal gates open and tackled security and got in. And I just ran in because there was an open spot, so I just ran through, and I got in and I missed the first song, which is All or Nothing, but I got in. She was talking, and I worked my way a bit closer, but because it was so crowded, and I just got in at the last minute. I ended up at the back. I watched the whole show from the back, but there was a screen right next to me, so I could see everything in that way. And she did um, believe, and then she went and got changed out of her like crystal outfit, and then she changed into the turn back time outfit and did turn back time, and she was great. And I was surprised that many people showed up for Cher because even though she's an icon and she's Cher, I thought most of the Mardi Gras party crowd would be younger and they wouldn't care as much, but I was wrong. So I thought, well, it's going to be even worse for Dale Looper and Kesha and Sam Smith. So I really wanted to get there early. So like I said, I left the parade early. I got there around a bit after 11. Now there was a line snaking along, so it was like three lines, and I walked past the three and I went into the third line, and I must admit people were pushing in, and I just jumped in with some people about halfway to that where that line met up with the other lines, but I don't know how much further that line went down the outside of the building. So I might have jumped in. I basically got on towards the end, but that line could have been really long, longer than the other two snake lines. So the other people I heard got there the same time as me, but after 11 and didn't get in. So they were probably on the end of the line, and I pushed in probably halfway without realizing. I thought I was getting on towards the end. I just sort of I couldn't even see the end, but I didn't look behind me. I was looking ahead, and they had stopped the line, the third line, and the other two lines they let go in. So we're all standing there not moving, and then we see these two lines of people just moving and moving, constantly moving. We're not moving. We're like, oh shit, are we not getting in? Have they cut it off at that point? But then once those lines were empty, they just let us all go in and fill that space up again. Um, and we pretty much just walked straight in, and it was very anxious. I'm like, are they going to just cut it off at some point and say no, we're at capacity? Because like in the past, the problem was you had different venue, different stages, and you couldn't fit everyone in one. So if everyone tried to get in one, it'd get to capacity and people would be stuck outside and they'd have to go to the other areas. This year, because one of the stages was gone, they couldn't even get people into the main space, let alone into an actual stage. So people couldn't get into the actual pavilion. People were in lines outside, and then in lines outside the pavilion, the Max Watts and the Horden. So I just can't believe they did it. I'm just absolutely shocked that they oversold by 3 to 5 thousand. There's no way you can oversell a bit because not everyone's going to show up at the same time. Some people are going to come early and leave. Some people are going to come late. So you can oversell by a bit. That is understandable. I didn't realize people did it for concerts and things and events like that, but apparently they do, and it is kind of manageable if you are reasonable about it. But I don't know if they started selling tickets and had plans before they realised that they had lost the Royal Industrial Hall to renovations, and maybe they just thought fuck it and just kept selling even though they knew they weren't going to have the capacity, or they didn't know and they sold the tickets and then they found out they lost the arena. I don't know what happened, but either way, it's criminal what they did. They oversold by so many. No, not everyone's going to get in. People literally. I paid about 105, I think, early bird, or maybe a bit more. I can't remember. Some people paid $200 to $270 and they didn't even get in. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the international people who'd never been to Sydney Mardi Gras before. Maybe that was their only Mardi Gras they were going to come to, and they stood in the line and didn't even get into the party. I went in. The first act was a drag queen around 12. I got in around 11:45, so I waited in the line for probably 20 minutes. I got in. The first act was around 12:15. The second act was Dale Looper, around 1:15, and then 2:15 was Sam Smith. 3:15 was Kesha, and then around 4:15 they had another drag queen. So they had three main acts, bookended by two drag queens. And frankly, the staging was shit. That the main problem was they had three stages, one main one and then two raised ones on the sides, and Kesha used all three. Sam Smith only used the main one, but he was sitting on a giant prop of a flexing arm, and then he was in a dress that raised up, and he was like way above the stage in this giant dress which had like writing projected on it, and his performance was amazing, and Kesha was amazing too because she didn't do as much staging wise, but she used all three stages so everyone could see her on left side, right side, but only the front section because the stage was so low you couldn't see the acts. If you like, unless you're in the front, the very couple front rows, you couldn't actually see any of the performers on the stage because it was so low. The stage was too low. You couldn't see them over the people in front of you. So fortunately, a couple of friends of mine I noticed were actually on top of people's shoulders, so they got a good shot, good look. The guy I was with jumped on his friend's shoulder because I originally was planning, because I was there by myself this year. I thought I'm going to get in early, go down the front, watch the acts properly, and really enjoy the acts, and not worry about meeting up with people and that. But then I met up with this guy I met at the underwear party on the Thursday, and he was really hot, and I ended up spending all my time with him, and I didn't even get to the front. But I didn't care so much about the acts anyway, so I didn't care. But yeah, we couldn't see. So people couldn't get in. The people who did get in couldn't see, and it was just a shit show, and I didn't realize how bad it was for the people outside because I didn't leave till 6. And that's what a lot of people did. They got in and they didn't leave because there was no reason to leave because the only other place to go was the Max Watts Theatre, basically. And that was just a small dance floor, and who cares? So people went in, they didn't leave. The other people who were outside didn't get in. And it was pretty bad. I left around 6. I had a look at the Max Watts Theatre. It was the same as it always is. I had a bit of a look around, and I left about 6:30, I think. And then I started reading the articles and realised, and I guess a lot of people just gave up and went home. And I feel really bad for them. I think it's really wrong what they did. They shouldn't have done it that way. I hope there are consequences for this. The people in charge should be fired. A lot of people probably won't show up next year. A lot of people have said, they've sworn they're not going again. I don't blame them. And I don't care because the Mardi Gras it started off as a protest, and then it became a protest march in 78, and then onwards. And eventually it became commercialised, but that was good because the money was used for the gay community. But eventually it was sold into bigger commercial sort of ventures, and they changed the name from the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras to just the Sydney Mardi Gras. And it really stopped becoming about us. And a lot of the floats, there are people who are actual community groups who weren't allowed into the parade, but people like Netflix and Disney were. So it lost its soul a while ago, and if they lose money over this, I don't care because it's really not us that's losing it. It's a bunch of corporations. So yeah, it was a shit show. I'm shocked it went that way. I hope there are consequences for this, and I hope next year they don't do the same thing. But I hope everyone gets fired and new people come in and we have a new committee and they are more focused on the community and doing it right. But I'm going to go. I've talked more than I planned to. I was planning to do a short video, but there was a lot to talk about. So feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. I always forget to mention subscribe. And comments are fun. I love when people tell me stuff. I'd like to know what your experience was. Did you get stuck in the line? How did security treat you? What happened? Just anything. I'm curious to see what people say. I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.